So we are back at it once more. It is the year of the bastards right now, and the House of the Dragon couldn't be more on point. Welcome back to the Bootleg Corner, another review of the latest episode of House of the Dragon, and all things are pointing towards a vital clash between the two houses. Men and dragons will die, power will change hands, and alliances will too. But with the way episode 6 ended, I said at the time that Adam had a choice to make since he now has a dragon. And it appears that that choice was easy to make because when he met Rhaenyra, he bent the knee with ease. For Rhaenyra, it's a bit challenging because this has changed her belief and views about dragons and their riders. Because traditionally, the riders go to claim the dragon, but Sea Smoke has gone the other way around. And in such desperate times as she is, it sparks the idea that something similar could be done with others, even if she doesn't really know where to start. It is Mysaria who finally advises her that if blood is the key, then finding Targaryen bastards is the way to go. Now we haven't forgotten Mysaria and Rhaenyra have a little thing going, but with the way things are, there has been no time for that relationship. I also said Corlys Velaryon now had the choice of acknowledging his sons, especially Adam, who is in possession of a dragon, but we see he still refuses to do so. Maybe he thinks he has nothing to offer him, but at least he has been able to rise up by himself. Arlyn, on the other hand, is one content with his position in Driftmark, and I think at some point Corlys may eventually recognize him officially because Arlyn has no interest in vying for a dragon at Dragonstone because he is content at Driftmark. But then we'll have to wait and see. Alicent on her own has lost her sense of purpose. Her life has been upended in the past few weeks in stages. First, Aegon is injured in battle, then Aemon becomes king regent, kicks out the small council, and finally she and Helaena get attacked by a mob outside the temple. So she's adrift and cast aside, her dibs are empty, and her knives are too because Criston Cole has gone to war. And even when he wasn't, they weren't on speaking terms, so she decides to take a trip outside the city to recollect, recharge, and maybe decide the next step for her life. But it is clear she is going to have an even lesser role as things stand, because unless things change in this series, I can see her screen time significantly reducing. Daemon the at Harrenhal has finally got a breakthrough in the past episode. Lord Grover, who leads the Tullys and the Riverine houses, died in the last episode, most likely with some assistance from Alice Rivers, and now young Oscar Tully is the man in charge. But we see whatever first impressions we had of Oscar the first time he appeared in the show, he's grown up really fast. He's no longer shy, timid or soft, and I mean now he's now a leader of men. So many older people surround him, eager to whisper in his ear, hoping they can use his lack of experience against him. So what he lacks in years, he makes up for in bravery. Daemon on his own doesn't really care about his perception. He wants an army, and Oscar Tully can deliver it to him, even if Oscar rightly points out that the river houses hate him. But Daemon didn't come here to make friends. He came here to find mean-hearted bastards who would fight beside him against his enemies. But that alliance has a price, because the river houses will not stand with this lord who went far beyond the rulebook in visiting war against the Brackenwoods. And even when he tried to tell Daemon to intervene, but Daemon had previously told him he might have to try persuasion instead of force, and he did what he wanted anyway. And this is the second time in this series that Daemon has said one thing and gotten different results, with the first time being when he ordered the assassination of Aemon and the assassins went and killed Jaehaerys instead. So even if Daemon thinks the end justifies the means, here he is presented with an easy decision. Provide justice and get an army, and it is no surprise he kills this guy who was the first person to support him in the Riverine area. In King's Landing, Aegon is back to walking, but with the help of the Grand Maester, and I'm not very happy with this move. I said it in previous reviews, there should be no way he survives Dragonfire and he falls from that height and gets any chance to walk again, no matter how much Sunfire shielded his fall. Because if his spine wasn't destroyed, his legs should have been. And remember, this is an era without modern medicine, but this is how they've chosen to play it, and I can only accept. But it is clear that Aegon is in severe pains, and recovery is going to be a long, harsh road. Now, the Grand Maester is probably one of the few in the small council without major ambitions of his own, but he has been seeing plots and clandestine moves unfold before his eyes, and I'm pretty sure he's not surprised when Lord Larys tells him that Aegon's recovery will be hampered by outside forces. That easily translates to Aemon, because no one gives us power easily once they've tasted it. There's also Lord Ironfoot, who has a little problem. He's heard news of a dragon and he doesn't know if to tell Aemon, so he seeks advice from Larys, and Larys tells him to keep it quiet since the news cannot be verified. It's unclear what Larys' main objective is, whether it was to prevent Ironfoot from providing important information and rising in Aemon's eyes, or protecting him from making a fool of himself. But these are treacherous times where selfishness is the rule, so I'm sure Larys had his own personal motives for that. I also said Laila will go looking for Sheepstealer, the white dragon in the Vale, and she does so in this episode where she and her brothers are leaving the castle for Pentos. Now, I don't know if she'll find the dragon and survive it, or if she'll even catch up to them because she has diverted from the road, but we'll see the outcome of that detour in the next episode, where Rhaenyra has put out word for all Targaryen bastards to come out to Dragonstone and try their hands at claiming a dragon, and Prince Jaehaerys is furious with her. He had to endure snide looks and comments all his life because of his mixed parentage, and now his mother is doing something even more wilder than that. By some terms, he's a bastard because his biological parents weren't married, and now a band of bastards are coming to take sacred Targaryen culture and turn it upside down. But Rhaenyra tells him they are at war, and so every avenue must be exhausted, no matter how distasteful it seems. But for Jaehaerys, it seems that he will rather die than have low-born bastards join their side in the war. Well, you have to grow up, because if there's anything about Targaryens, there's always some more fuckery up their sleeve. With the number of bastards that turn up, it just goes to show how some traditions transcend ancient times, because up till today, illegitimate children still get produced by the elite members of society, even if it's on a lesser volume than the Targaryens. Well, now we also know why Hugh Hammer, the blacksmith, was given so much screen time, because he's also a Targaryen bastard. Although how his mother came to work in a brothel is a real head scratcher if his half-brothers are Viserys and Daemon, except she was also a bastard herself. He tells his wife he's going to Dragonstone, but she doesn't even want him there. Chasing dragons is a long, impossible shot, and there's also a chance he can get a job while staying with her brother. He tells her that if she succeeds, she'll reap the benefits, but she's just tired with grief and the bleak situation on her plate. Her daughter has just died because of the blockade, and she's not interested in anything beyond survival. But Hugh is feeling angry and regretful. He cannot bring his daughter back, but he can and will make someone at least pay for her debt. And if dragons are the way, then that is good enough for him. Another point of contention is how so many people easily left King's Landing even when there was a citywide shutdown. Maybe security is not as tight as expected because people are getting in and out of King's Landing way too easily. But the bastards get to Dragonstone and Rhaenyra tells them how it is. Basically, it is get a dragon or die trying. There is no other way out, and they don't even tell them the part about showing fear in front of the dragon or whatnot. Venator is the first stop, and he gives the bastards a little chance until he sees they are not serious and turns most of them into barbecue. Hugh Hammer finds his courage, stands before Venator, and Cook them calms down and accepts him as a dragon rider. Off is another Targaryen bastard, and he runs deep into the dragon pit to escape Venator, and fortunately or unfortunately runs into Silverwing. Some way, somehow, Silverwing doesn't kill him and chooses him as the next dragon rider. And the next thing we know, he's flying around King's Landing, somehow drunk, hundreds of feet in the air. It is a miracle he's not shot by the scorpion arrows, and Aemon leaves a council meeting to rush outside the castle, Mount Vega, and give chase. Aemon must have thought Rhaenyra's house had lost their minds flying so close to King's Landing, especially after he's killed 2 of their dragons. But when he sees not 1 but 3 dragons in Dragonstone, he loses his courage and frantically turns Vega away. Now, one thing I've noticed is Rhaenyra and her allies do not have any defenses to dragons, apart from dragons themselves. We've seen the scorpion weapon in the city walls of King's Landing, but nothing like that in Dragonstone or Driftmark. And it is not like there's no money to build it, because if it can be built in King's Landing during a blockade and without payments, there is no reason why Rhaenyra and her allies do not have it.
So to wrap it up, Rhaenyra finally has an edge with the dragons, but how many people can she sacrifice before her conscience begins to bleed? And some way, somehow, she still thinks that there is a chance of peace. Daemon has an army now, but who does it fight for? His latest hallucinations have been rejecting the crown, but what does that mean? And how long does Rhaenyra have to train her new dragon riders to speak Valyrian? And how long will they learn to fly before going straight into battle? All these and more will be answered in the latest episode of House of the Dragon next week. Don't forget to subscribe, keep it locked in, and I'll be back.